Hello everybody, my name is Miguel Hernandez. I'm a digital sculptor. I'm working now for companies, spend my time sculpting characters, collectible miniatures for the industry. I want to show you my workflow, all the things that I have to organize, all the things that we need to put behind the figure or behind the school, because I know that maybe the artists who want to start sculpting, maybe the people doesn't know what happened behind the characters, and it's important that show that this is no magic or just push a button, that's it, the software create the things there. It's important has a pipeline and an organization for this, get reference inspirations, follow some kind of steps if you want to get a goal as a sculptor or as an artist, for example. For me, my experience gave me the opportunity work in amazing projects. You can check my portfolio on ArtStation. Just shares Miguel Hernandez on ArtStation. So this is the sketch of the idea that I am talking about. I chose the pose. I want a strong pose. This is like the character that I chose it. This is the base for the tail that I want to show. Okay, so I decided to put these things together on a quick sketch. Sometimes it's good to have a good sketch. Try to see the things from basic shapes. Is consider that this 2D art will be 3D, and what happens if I select this shoulder and make a circle, but this circle will be a sphere on the software, or if I want to do the chest will be a cylinder connected with the abs that will be a cylinder too, connected to the other cylinder. Let me decrease the intensity, and the arms will be another cylinders. Maybe I want to put another sphere. For me are just circles here because it's 2D, but I'm thinking in 3D at the same time. Okay, so I want to put all these things in 3D using basic shapes. Sometimes I like to work on symmetry for some specific things. For example, a face or a human head is okay work in symmetry there in ZBrush. But I prefer put these things without symmetry directly as I saw it here, following the pose, to see what happened with the pose in 3D. What happened with the silhouette when I turn around the character. Okay. What happened? This, for example, is a cylinder with a 3-dimensionality. My feet will be rectangles. Okay, this is one of my steps. Analyze the 2D art and see what can I do with basic shapes to start a nice sketch, or a nice 3D sketch on ZBrush. So analyze the 2D art and see the basic shapes that I need to create there. They always look in the 2D art or the reference, okay? Because you have to get this composition, this final composition on 3D too, okay? And talking about composition a little bit before start, I create this scene following one composition rule for me that has a lot of motion. That is the curves composition. If you see this character, this character has a hue diagonal from the composition, a balance here, a hue part here, and a small part here, and has curvatures, has curves, and these curves gave me lines to balance the final piece. For now, I don't know what happened in other views, but I want to get this 2D view, and then we need to see what happened in 3D, because sometimes you have to change some things from the pose. You have to move the arms, the legs, because this is 3D and it will be exposed as a three-dimensional figure, so the people wants to turn around and see what happened around or behind. If something are bad on other angles, is not really good at the end. For that reason, it's better get a first basic shapes approximation on ZBrush and create new poses from the 3D shapes directly from the software. It's interesting because all the projects has this kind of particular things. You always want to be, or you want to have an order or a step by step, but it's a little bit difficult. You will see change, or these figures I consider that has life, because mutate or has changes, some transformation in the process. You have a first idea. It's okay if you want to keep closer to your first idea, but you will see that the 3D will give you different angles or point of view, so you can change this. It's okay. If you are working for a company, you can expose this to the guys who are trying to direct you, or the art director or executive producer, about, okay, I need to change this because I am following the 2D art, but I don't like how I see in 3/4 angles, or I don't like how the character see from behind. You can create your own proposals. It's interesting with these things because it's not in motion, for example, but if you are creating something dynamic or something in a studio, the character is not in a true motion. You have to create that simulation or that as appearance that the character is in motion, so you have to play a lot with the angles to see this. Okay, whereas as I mentioned before, let me turn on this to get a better idea of the basic shapes. First, I create a cylinder here in ZBrush, a simple cylinder. I think it's better to work with this occluded matcap. You can download many matcaps is the name of these materials from the internet. Load it here in your software. I prefer to use matte gray, or sometimes matcap occluded that has some kind of deepness shadows, lighted and whites, bright whites on the valleys, on the peaks, and deep darkness shadows on the valleys. For the beginning, since you have this simple shape cylinder, I'm turning out on the X symmetry here in ZBrush to get the basic shape for the chest or a torso, for example. Okay. This is really quickly, don't worry about how it looks. Okay, it's just basic shapes. Okay, you have your chest here. Okay, using symmetry. Okay, first we need to start with a reference 3D point. Okay, then I insert another base shape, another cylinder, and I want to put here. When you insert another thing, you will have another subtool. Always that you want to insert or up end, you will have subtools. The software works with subtools, as I know it, for beginners, for very beginners, or for guys who knows or have more control on the software. Yeah, you know what is the difference between a tool or a subtool. A tool is the whole piece that will contain all the subtools inside. So my tool is it's like the documents, like the project. I prefer save this as tool or load tool or save tool because it's more practical in this software. Some people wanted to save, for example, a file as you see on Photoshop or another software that has file. Okay, file save as. If you want to save a file, you will save all the things that you have, or all the things that you changed on the interface, on the canvas. If you have multiple tools, you will save a file with all this, and you will have a huge file for your computer. So for that reason, it's more practical. Just save the tool. The tool will have the subtools inside. You can handle this better. Okay. Well, following this, I'm going to turn on my X symmetry, just clicking X, or if you want to see where this comes from, you change this or turn activate symmetry here in the transform menu. Activate symmetry, turn on, turn off. Like basic shapes, just think in basic shapes, guys. Here now I want to put the shoulders. Okay, I duplicate this. Here is a duplicate button on the subtool, so if you want to duplicate a subtool, and you can go below here on another menus, on deformation palette menu, you will click on mirror X if you are working on the X, Y, or C. So if you're working on X, click X. If you're working on G, is this. If you're working on C, is from this, from the dip up on side or front. Then insert another cylinder. With this cylinder, I want to create the trapezius. Also turn on okay. I want to put another cylinder to create the neck. And a sphere to create the head. The head doesn't have this shape, okay, this completely circular shape. The head has some kind of rectangular shape. If you look from your front, or you are looking at a character from the front view, as this character that we have here, the head had some kind of rectangular face, but it doesn't matter for now. Maybe try to flat the size. To do that, you have two options. One is use flatten brush, turn on the X symmetry, and flat the head from the size. Okay, or you have another option, and cutting the circles, turn off the perspective, and use this tool, emit trim curve. Say okay, that you want to change, and now using Ctrl and Shift, you will cut one of the faces of the circle. But what happens if you want to do this in symmetry? Because for another brushes the symmetry is working, but not for this. Okay, but look this, for example, the standard brush has a C intensity and it's 25. So if you draw or sculpt, this intensity will give you the opportunity to build up things or crabbing things. But with this trim curve is not possible, but yeah, it's possible at the end because you have the intensity in 0. When you go to 100, you will activate the symmetry here for your cut. Okay, it's a nice trick, it's a nice tip, because sometimes you want to cut on symmetry shapes. So this brush just work if you change the C intensity here. If the C intensity is in 0, even if you are have the symmetry activated, it's not working. But if you change this intensity, clicking Ctrl and Shift, the setups here changing is change it. Ctrl Shift. Now you have the setup for the tool, and change. Keeping Ctrl Shift, push it, release, Ctrl Shift again, and the symmetry is working. Okay. And now for change this, I want to insert another cylinder here. Create the job, for example. I think that this I have a nice basic shapes, and I want to start to create the pose from this. So I want to manipulate. I want to create 2 reference points. I'm going to merge all these subtools in one. So I click on the top subtool, the first one that I created, and go to merge down here. I want to click always, so always you click this button, you will merge down. Now I have a whole subtool from this. We have groups inside ZBrush. These groups represent each subtool, or even you can create groups masking things or painting groups. For now, just focus on the groups from the shapes. Each subtool is a group for me that I can handle or manipulate. Okay, the idea of the 2 points of reference is that looking the concept, I have the character and the base. So if I want to move the character, I need another reference. Okay, so I want to insert a cylinder, and this cylinder will be the base. I want to turn around the perspective. Okay, and this will be my character. Something interesting that I want to mention about the perspective, in the new versions of ZBrush, we have here in the draw menu this new camera. Before this, you just have a different perspective. Now ZBrush has or emulate camera angles views, so I consider that between 28 and 50 is a good angle to work, because 80 is you will have a huge distortions of the geometry, and 85 is too flat as an orthographic view, similar to an orthographic view. So this is a 3D figure that you will see in the real. So work in 28 or 35 is okay. Well, so continue with this. I want to put another reference here. I think it's okay. Maybe, yeah, I want to put a sphere here. This will be something for this kind of centipede or monster that the character is trying to open or defeat it. Okay. merge down, and looking the composition, I have this triangle here, so it's a good reference, a good 2-point reference points to start to pose the character and get the first shapes. Now here you will have to turn off the symmetry and look more not the basic shapes, or yeah, the basic shape and the concept at the same time, because you need to start to create the motion here. The concept, this character has some kind of torsion in his torso, so I select these things here first. Okay, if you have the multiple groups, you can select separately. Okay, if you don't have it, for example, let's see group visible, we have this green color on the whole character. If you want to select, let me change this, select rectangle. Okay, if you want to select one shape, it's impossible. If you have this, if the result is this, you have to go here on polygroups menu and select auto groups, and automatically you have different colors. So I want to mask this because I want to start to move. Control click outside the object to inverse the mask. Okay, and okay, this is my chest. I start to move the character. Inverse. To manipulate the pivot, you can use these icons here. One is to put the gizmo on the center of the shapes selected, or the max selected, or the visible area that you want to sculpt selected. This is for home, so return the object of the previous stage. This is for rotate, and this is to lock and unlock the pivot. If you lock, you can move the pivot wherever you want to put, or wherever you need it. So, but you can do this quickly using a shortcut in your keyboard, selecting Alt and move. When you put Alt, look at the locked icon is open and close it just with Alt. Okay, and start to move again the figure. Inverse. I think that the torso has a torsion here, where one hand is in front of the other because the other arm is behind. His head. Okay, need to clean the mask here first and select the basic shape that I chose it as a head. And I'm just moving the shapes. Okay, I know I don't know that it's difficult. Try to imagine that from this you will create a whole character, but it's an easy way to understand or see the first shapes of volumes. I know that you can use another things as dummies or mannequins or something like that, but I prefer to get these shapes on the pose first. It's my way to start to see what happened with the pose, what happened with the small groups of the body. If I have a whole character, for example here, I have a character here. I created this character using the same principle, you know, putting basic shapes to try to copy the human body. I know that it's really far of nice anatomy. I need to start to move this to imagine what happened, and it's the whole character, and I prefer start with just small pieces and imagine what happened with the other pieces. And it's easy for me to handle just small pieces and select group to start to create the character. So I want to start from the torso. Select just a small group of the composition of the character and posing this. It's more natural for me. I consider this. You will have a better natural result if you have this and move the things as is a robot for me. You know, it doesn't have expression. Even with just this, I can see an expression. I can see that something happens there. You know, it's sad, or it's strong, or it's suffering. You know. I can start to move the shells, trying to follow the reference and trying to follow my knowledge about anatomy. That's another things for consider, but you can use reference. For now, we're just blocking the scene. Okay. I have this, the shoulders here, and let's get to start the arms. There's a cylinder for me. Don't worry about put just one arm, or think about what happened with the symmetry of the arms. Okay, we can duplicate the whole arm. We can create. We can do some trick to have symmetry on the arms. You know, have the same length of one arm on another arm. But even in nature, the people doesn't have the same length from both arms. Are quite a bit different. For that reason, I create this on this way. You know, because you will have more natural thing than just use symmetry. You know, because symmetry helps a lot on a school. I have to tell that, yeah, the symmetry helps a lot for some things, but if you want to get a final result as a natural school, I have to think that consider that for the traditional school, the symmetry tool doesn't exist, so the final pieces have these natural things, you know, mistakes. You know, one arm has different length than the other, one leg have at least a different length than the other, the muscles are different. You know, you will get the natural things from this, but you can just duplicate the arm and put in the other side. I need to start to move the shapes. If the guy is applying, if applying or is pushing with one arm, I need to get this idea. Now I want to create a forearm. It's okay if we reduce the shape here a little bit to get the closest shapes of a forearm. Just using brushes, flatten and clay build. It's too straight for me now, so I want to move a little bit from that angle and from this angle. Sorry if I'm moving the things really fast. I like to work with shortcuts for the brushes, you can create these. I'm using the number path for this. For example, if you want to, I am here in the number 0 for me. Is the inflat brush. If you want to change this, or you want to load your own shortcut for the brushes, you have to push Ctrl Alt and click the brush that you want to record it there, so or save it there. Ctrl Alt, click spiral, and then click 0. Ctrl spiral on 0. So you will have a message telling you that this hotkey is already assigned to another interface item, so press OK to reassign. I click OK. It doesn't matter. I have my brush here. Okay, so I like to use this. Move into my common brushes. I always use these brushes. I know that I have 1,000 of brushes here, but these other brushes are here to create textures or more small details that we can see further or in other sessions. But my basic brushes are standard, deep standard, one of kind of deep standard to create really deep curve, flatten, clay build, move, clay tube, snake hook, then standard, train dynamics, inflate. I shade this. I can shade or return to my inflate brush. Ctrl Alt, inflate, and number 0 again. The same message. Now I have inflate with me. Okay. Well, let's see. I need to start to see in multiple angles what happened with the arm. If I am getting the right position that I wanted. I'm going to put a cube. This cube will represent my hand. I know that is a really base shape for a hand. A hand is a whole world. If you want to sculpt a hand, you need to explore or see many reference. For now, is okay. I received a message from OBS Studios that is reconnecting now. Anybody are looking my screen? Okay. Well, this is the reference for my hand. Just try to see the basic shapes and imagine the pose, imagine the angle of, imagine the behavior. I know that it sounds like okay, it's just imagine, but you will see what happened after practicing, because it's more this is just practicing. Okay, I'm going to select this. This is my arm. I want to duplicate, and I'm going to apply the same deformation tool, mirror here. Now I have another arm with the same length that I'm going to put on an opposite direction here. And again, looking for the reference, I want to be close for the reference that I have here. Okay. For the reference, sorry, for the concept, for the sketch. No, it's not a concept. This is a sketch. But now just having this simple shapes, you can see a silhouette, you can see a pose. Look here, the silhouette of the character. You can see a back, a hand, you know. And just using a few pieces or a few objects, you can start to see what happened one to each other, you know. You can start to imagine what happened with the legs, what happened with the character. Okay, I selected the I have to max and select one object, inverse, and move. I'm trying to do it's like using a rig for me, using this. For example, in the animation, the characters has a rig inside and you move the joints to get poses, or to get to move the character, to turn these inner characters turning or getting live, you know, in motion. For me is similar, you know. Think or this or use this gizmo as a join. Just positioning, selection, make a selection of the group and position the objects. This is like from view. It's close there. I need to move to the origin of the arm, near to the shoulder. I move a little bit because I'm losing some silhouette there. Okay. I always keep saving your project, or let that the autosave do the work for you. But I don't know, I always prefer saving and saving versions of my work. Okay, because you will have a progress and you can analyze this progress after a project and see what happened. Okay, I'm doing some mistakes on this step, I need to change this. Okay, if you want, you can start from another thing, or see, okay, this character had that problem at that time, you know. Try to be really organized with your works, guys. I need to move the shoulder up a little bit to add more tension. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, look, it's just testing, moving the character, the basic shapes in multiple angles. Okay. And after this, we are going to create the legs. I need to create these pants again. So I'm going to work on solo mode. I turn off dynamic and apply the same things to get a new shape here. For example, the train curve brush. I have the trim core, remember, for cut in Symmetry. Increase the C intensity here and cut there. Okay, now I have his pants here. The underwear. Well, for a superhero, it's not an underwear. It's a it's outside wear. It's turn off the symmetry, and I want to position his wrist. Wrist. Yeah, wrist. Oh, I can't remember how to say this in English. Okay, let's hip. Let's say hip. Okay. I think that it's okay if I move a little bit for front. A little bit. Flatten a little bit. And I want to create a motion in small, because I want to put a leg up or rise up different than the other. The same thing, I want to create a cylinder to create the legs. I know that another artist or another tutorials about characters show to you proportions about how many heads has a torso, how many heads has a leg or has an arm, you know, because when you're learning to draw or school, this you can find these all studies about human anatomy, and they base it the proportion and say that okay, a human male has around 7 heads and a half or 8 head on a golden proportion, a good proportion. But okay, for me it's more trying to analyze the 2D art, follow my experience, and looking for reference. I consider that the observation is important. It's more important even that another thing, you know, have a good observation about analyze a picture or analyze an object and see how to relate this proportion. And for me, I put the head of the character and I use this head to proportion my own character. No, I know that maybe I'm a little bit far away from human right proportion, but I consider that you need to learn that sometimes these things need or will have more expressions than rules. You know, I consider that it's better try to see something that is based on expression, feelings, than just rules. Because if you are trying to follow rules, you will see something completely schematic. I know that maybe you will get something perfectly done. You can check the proportion after this, but for me, I prefer to explore expression and feelings, and observation. Take time to observe. Take time to training your eye, looking or do these exercises, looking for one 3D thing, one 2D thing beside, and see what happens. But you can have another relevant things like, okay, a leg, the length of muscle of the leg is similar to the whole torso, so it's okay. You can put it there. The whole torso now from the neck to the deep part of the hip. If you consider that your leg has this enough length, but if you are looking that you need to reduce, just follow your eye training, then you can check this after, see the silhouette or this base blocking, and okay, this is a blocking, this is not the final result. You have to check or clean shapes after start to sculpt, after start to clean shapes, because it's very important, have a basic, a really nice base to start to apply anatomy, or to start to apply forget the details now, just training the eye, training the basic shapes, training the silhouettes, training on the movement with this basic chase, not training with composition with this basic chase. You will think, or you will have time to think in details after, because the details needs time, okay, or the anatomy even needs time, but for now things on the silhouette. I need to create another rectangle for the foot or feet. For the feet, sometimes it's okay if you want to add a little bit more shape details, not using just rectangles. You can create another rectangles, put this rectangle smaller, flap this part, for example, following a basic shape for a fit. Duplicate this, you will have more points to reference the basic shape with the human body, so you can, that you can move the tips there, the fingertips. It's okay, you can create this. I will do that for the hands too, but now is basic shapes. I'm going to merge this. Okay. I'm going to duplicate the leg to have a similar and we need to post this. For that, I'm going to use the tools, the subtools groups. I need to select this clip here and the foot and move, following the same idea, thinking in a joint here. And here, as I have it in my drawing, I don't know what to do with this leg at this moment. But for that reason, it's important to just have this small bunch of shapes to start to play with the pose. Maybe this is too short. I need to play with the other foot. Okay. This is a blocking for me, I think so. I need to see what happened with this leg, but maybe doing the base I will have a better idea. Let's see what happened with the lower part of the body. You can start to move if you need more torsion. Also, for dynamic things, it's okay if you exaggerate the things that you think that are looking good. Exaggerate a little bit more, it looks better for me. Trust me. Sorry. I continue moving here with things, you know. Until I feel happy, I will continue with the next step. Now sometimes the pivot appears really far. Okay. And we can put less things here. To get a final blocking of the complete diorama, if we can name it this as a diorama. Yeah, I think it's okay. Name it diorama. And get it the shapes for the base or the environment is better, because you will see what happens with the character if you need to move things to complete the idea of the posing. Insert sphere. I'm going to use the move brush. I'm going to use flatten a little bit here to emulate the shapes of this kind of insect job. Oh, I don't know what happened here. In the next session, I'm going to show you a better drone. Okay. Of the character. Okay, and we will have here, we have to move this a little bit and move it to break the balance a little bit, and put this final shape here. I will show you in the next session the blocking with more shapes, and it is using the same principle, you know, just adding shapes, insert shapes here and moving the things, but with the difference that we'll have more shape details, I think so, you know. And I will show you the final pose too. Okay. And I want to put this cube to emulate the cape. One of the important things on this character, on these superheroes, his capes. Remember, it's just to get a silhouette and see what happens with the character looking in 300 degrees, 360 degrees, looking at all his angles. You know, don't worry if it looks beautiful or not. For me, it looks beautiful, you know, because I'm looking for the main thing for me, the base shape and the blocking. If you get a nice blocking, you will have a nice sculpt at the end. Okay, it's one of my ideas. If you get a nice blocking just using these shapes, you will get for sure a really nice sculpt. Then obviously you have to apply anatomy studies and apply the uses of apply the tricks or the brushes or many other things or tools that will help you in ZBrush to create the final piece. Okay, I need to see more about scales here. Let me select the base. Oh, don't worry about this, you can select the things that you want to separate. I'm going to use another max laser tool, another brush for the max here in ZBrush to select the cape, group mask it to group one mask, and group mask it again, and you have just two groups, split, group split, and you can manipulate things separately. Okay, I want to decrease the size of this guy because it's looking among us besides the character, and he's the main thing here, you know, the character. I need to saturate a little bit more arms position. And okay, that's it, Sky, for today, I think so. Okay, please try to test or try to follow me doing his own character. It shows a character from your preference, show reference for the pose, looking for reference for the pose, looking for the story behind, you know, what do you want to tell with this character, what do you want to show, and try to figure out how to move these basic shapes and get a nice silhouette. I will show you the next time more about the blocking things and go directly through the anatomy, I think so, to start to sculpt, because after this, let me save you and show you a quick sample here. After this, the next step for me is select this dynamation to merge all the things. in a considerable resolution, I think so, and start to the animation in the lower resolution. It's better work. Yeah, this is a good resolution to start to work and start to sculpt. Now, yeah, talking about the sculpt, yeah, this is the time when you need to start to sculpt. I know that this process or blocking process doesn't look like a sculpt process, but it's important, yeah, to get the main idea of the character or your project on these basic shapes. It's more easy to handle, it's more easy to see, okay, this is working, this is not working, I need to change my idea, I need to experiment with other poses, I need to experiment with other objects, I need to experiment with other angles, and after that you can start to sculpt when you get a really nice blocking. Okay, you can start to play with just clay build, clay tubes, following reference of anatomy, study the anatomy, study what happened if you are moving the arms, what happened with the muscles, what happened with the connection, what happened with the tendons, you know. You start to add in anatomy and cleaning details. But we can see these steps on the next webinar with me. I hope this webinar likes or will be really helpful for you in your learning process. I hope some of these things work for you guys. Thank you very much for following me. Thank you very much for following my work. Thank you very much for Sumas and Skills Tricks for inviting me here. I'll see you the next time.